Hello and welcome. I'm Kathleen, and I'm going to share with all of you parents the quick and easy way to opt your children out of state assessments. Now, we have the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, otherwise known as the NJSLA, coming up, and they will begin to administer them throughout the state between April 25th and June 3rd. Now, my district specifically will be issuing them the week of May 2nd through 6th. But again, it varies depending on your district. The tests are going to be administered to students grades 3 through 11. However, those students in grades 3 through 9 are required to participate in the ELA and mathematics assessments. And then students in grades 5, 8, and 11, they'll also participate in a science assessment. Now, mind you, the NJDOE website states that children are required, but again, the point of this video is to show you that your children don't have to take these exams and how you can refuse. If you're only interested in the process of refusing and not all of the background information, I will put a time in the bio below of when I begin to talk about the NJSLA refusal letter so that you can go right ahead and just fast forward. Now, before I begin, I just want to be very clear. I am not advocating for or against these tests. They are issued on a statewide level. And what I think is important is that parents know that they have a right to refuse should they so choose. Every child is different. Not all excel at test taking. So some would argue that these assessments aren't a true value of what the child is learning in school. Although the districts don't tell you that you can refuse, you can. They have to respect it, and all without penalty to your child. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. You might have heard of the term PARCC. And that is the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. This test has now replaced the PARCC testing. And my understanding is the new test is just a shorter version of PARCC. And in fact, I was actually surprised to see this, but Governor Murphy called to, and I quote, "end the failed experiment that has been PARCC testing and to create a more effective and less time-intrusive means for measuring student assessment," hence the birth of NJSLA. I believe part of the change might also be due to the fact that some colleges around the nation are starting to do away with assessments such as ACTs or SATs, and that's all in an effort to be more equitable, but that's just a theory of mine. So as for the NJSLA, what is it? Well, it's simple. It's an assessment that's used to measure a student's knowledge, concepts, and skills in English language arts, math, and science. And it also ensures that districts are meeting the curriculum standards set forth by the New Jersey Department of Education as they align with the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. Now, based on how well the district does, directly correlates to the funding that they will receive from the government. If a school fails to meet the standards 5 years in a row, they risk being shut down. So, of course, districts want the children to perform well. In fact, I believe that we all want our children to succeed, but in this case, there is a monetary reward attached to the results. So, why would a parent not want their child to take the standardized testing? Well, number one, it can create undue stress and anxiety. And not every child performs the same on these tests. Some excel and some just don't. Secondly, teachers, well, they might start ending up teaching to the test. Rather than giving students a true understanding of the subject that they're learning, they kind of modify their lectures to focus on the topics that will be tested on instead of really going through the materials that maybe they should be learning at that time. Now, this isn't always the case, but it has been found to happen. 3, the test only evaluates a student's performance without considering external factors, such as English not being their native language, or maybe they happen to be a special needs student and fall under IEP. No one's allowed to help children during these tests. So it can really affect their outcome, especially if they're accustomed to a little bit more of a hand holding experience in their day-to-day lessons. And now they're being thrown into a situation that's not normal for them. So they might not fare very well as a result of that. Four, it only evaluates a one-time performance instead of a student's progress and proficiency of the material over time. So some people have argued it's not a true assessment of the child's progress, especially since it doesn't test all of the subjects taught in our schools, which then makes it inaccurate. Last, standards don't provide feedback on how the child can perform better. The test results aren't received for months, and then there's no instruction provided by these paid testing companies on how to improve the test scores. So some people then ask, where is the value add? There are pros. There are parents out there who believe that this is a good way to prepare children for taking harder tests as they advance. And that's given that they're going to be a child who is going to move on to college and have to take harder assessments. Not every child's going to go that route, but this is something that really is a child by child decision. So before I go on, I just want to make sure that parents know if your child's in the graduating classes of 2023 to 2025, they must pass a standardized test in high school in order to graduate. I know some are advocating to do away with this, but right now that's the requirement. I'll include a link in the bio for any of you parents that your child falls between those graduating years that you can read up a little bit more on it. And it comes directly from the New Jersey Department of Education. What's interesting is I read somewhere today that New Jersey is only one of 11 states that still requires children to pass the standardized test in order to graduate. However, I haven't had time to confirm that, but if it's true, it's a really interesting statistic. Why are so many pulling out of this form of testing would be a really good question to ask. Now, whether you choose to refuse your child's participating is strictly a personal family decision. Some parents want their children to partake, and that's absolutely your right. Every family dynamic is different. What's right for one household might not be right for the next. Some children are good test takers, and others, again, they're not. So this is not to convince anyone what to do. This is really just a way to inform parents of what your rights are, because many don't like the test. But then on the other side of the coin, you have many who do believe in these. So whatever your decision is, it's personal, it's your choice, it's your right, and I implore you to use your rights in this instance and decide whether you want your child to take them or not. On to how we go ahead and refuse. I just submitted this letter to my district earlier this week, and I have to admit I did not write this. I took it from the saveourschoolsnj.org website. I modified it ever so slightly. So I did not write it, and I cannot take credit for it, but I took it off of that website. So it's super easy to do. All you need to do is submit a letter to your superintendent and your principal, and they must honor your request without penalty to your child. My son's in 6th grade. His father and I, we both agreed that this was not something that we wanted him to partake in this year, but we can reevaluate next year. So we sent this letter in, and that was pretty much it. It was accepted. At this point, I'm just waiting to hear back as to what our son will be doing during the testing hours, where he will be, and who will be with him. So on to the letter. I'm going to share my screen with you all so that you can see it. Just give me one moment. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, so this is the template that I've used, and if you would like a copy of it, just shoot me an email at standwithcampbell@gmail.com, and I will be happy to forward the Word document to you. You can see it's pretty simple on the top. You simply fill in these voids with the pertinent information: superintendent, principal, your child's name, the school name, and what town, and the grade. And I will just leave this shot on the screen for you to read for yourself the different bullet points. And well, that's pretty much it. There is not an opt-out law like this says, but you are allowed to refuse, which is the whole point of this video. So again, if you would like a copy, let me know. I will be happy to get that to you. It'll be a Word doc, so it'll be super easy for you to modify. So why am I sharing this information? Well, I believe that our districts need to be more transparent. And the fact that they don't alert parents that they have the right to refuse their children taking these examinations is very telling to me. My intention is by no means to sway anyone in one direction or another, but it's really about letting parents know their rights. Information is so important, and since you can't really find anything on this online or through your districts, parents need to speak to one another and let them know, hey, if you're so concerned, you don't have to let your child take that test. But again, this is just really basic information that I'm giving you, and I highly suggest that if you're looking to refuse your child's participation in these examinations, that you take a little time, do your own due diligence, research the specific requirements of your district regarding graduation, because every single town is different. I recently learned that, and I think that's very important for parents to know. So with that, I thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. You can shoot me an email. I will get back to you. But otherwise, good luck with the rest of the year. And again, if you'd like a copy of this Word document, I will be happy to send it to you. There will also be a few links in the bio that you can refer to get some more information. But again, look into your district, see what they require, talk with your significant others, maybe talk to other parents, get their feelings, their feedback on this, and make your own educated decision for your children. Thanks for watching. Take care.